Hello, hello, hello. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and I want to welcome you to another monthly Lunch and Learn, our Heart Homes Realty Lunch and Learn. This is where we come together to go through the entire home buying process. We do lunch together and we go through our home buying process. I'm so excited to have you here. This is actually our ninth session, and we have pretty much gone through the home buying process. So if you have been with us and um, if you have been with us and have been here from step one to where we are now, congratulations. We have made it to closing day, but we are we decided to do this series because we know that there are many people who desire to own homes and they don't quite know where to start. You can Google the information, but it's not like speaking with someone to specifically know exactly what it is that you need for your situation to purchase a home. So we come together once a month to discuss the steps of purchasing a home. So I encourage you, if you have not already, if you missed our previous lunch and learns, I encourage you to go back and check out the previous 8 and learn about the process of purchasing a home. And we're really excited to have you here. So, hosted by myself, Adelai Brown, your realtor, and this is our Road to Approval Lunch and Learn, where today we're talking about closing day and getting your keys. So, we started from the first step way back in December. We talked about getting a perspective realtor who knows your perspective of life. You are here and we're trying to get you home. We're trying to get you to your investment properties, and that's what this Lunch and Learn series is designed for. A little bit about me. I am your hard homes agent. I have 15 plus years of real estate experience. I am a hard work practitioner with a focus of emotional intelligence in life and business. I've been a licensed realtor now for over 6 years, guiding professionals and community members from renting to ownership and investments. And I am an advocate for wealth building through authentic living. I think that many people are trying to get the bag, trying to grow, trying to learn, and they're not living their true life. They're living somebody else's dreams or what somebody suggested to them would be successful. But I believe when you focus authentically on the purpose God gave you, then the wealth that you have is more fulfilling. It's long lasting and you're able to pass it on for generations to come. And our mission is simple. Every heart deserves a home, a physical home, a spiritual home, a home for your soul. Everybody needs to be at peace. Everybody needs a place to rest. So home ownership isn't just about the numbers on the dotted line, X's and O's. It's really about establishing a lifestyle of peace and restoration that you can pass on for generations to come. So this is where we are in the process. I want to recap the steps that we have gone through up until now. So when we started, the first step in purchasing a home and your road to approval is you need to secure the right realtor. Your realtor is an agent, is an advocate for you throughout your home buying process and beyond. If you have a good agent, this is going to be someone that supports you far beyond you purchasing your home. I have a great relationship with many of my clients who've closed, and we still communicate. We still talk about financial decisions that they're making now. So you want to secure the right realtor as you start the process, someone that can guide you along the steps of home ownership. Step 2 in the process is budgeting and goal setting. You want to get clear about where you want to be in the process, right? How much can you afford? Where do you want to live? What are the things that are important to you? And when you sit down and go over that with your realtor and your family members, those that are involved in your financial decisions, then you're able to set a budget and have goals to work towards for home ownership, right? I've had many people who thought they couldn't purchase or thought that they couldn't afford the homes that they wanted. And after we've established budgets and, set goals for them, they were able to get into the homes that they dreamed of. And that came from preparation with the right realtor. So each step builds on the next. Step 3, we talked about getting approved. We talked about the process, making sure your credit is where it needs to be, making sure you have the necessary savings, your assets are in place, and the different types of um, lenders that are out there, banks, financial institutions, mortgage companies. And, we talked about the different ways you can get approved. Step 4, we talked about the process of shopping for a home. When you get out there, most people, that's the most exciting part for them. That's when you're getting out, you're walking through houses, you're trying to see what you like and what you don't like. And it's really exciting to get out and start looking. Step 5, back to the number of grace. 5 is where we put an offer in and we start negotiating your contract, right? We want to make sure that your agent is knowledgeable about the area, knowledgeable about what your needs and desires are. Some clients need more closing costs from the seller. Some clients need a longer time to close. Some people need to close as fast as soon as possible. So you need to communicate well with your realtor so that the offer and the negotiations can favor you as much as possible in the process. But you won't know that unless you communicate well and you have that right realtor. So like I said, every step builds on the next. Step 6 is the due diligence process. This is when you're getting your inspections and you're doing your research on the property and you're figuring out exactly what's going on with the home. This is where the buyers have an opportunity to ask questions. Look at the roof, look at the plumbing, look at the foundation, look at the electrical, the HVAC, making sure everything is in place. What is the neighborhood like? This is when you are checking out this property to make sure this is the investment you want to make. Right, home ownership is typically the biggest investment that someone will ever make. So we want to make sure that it is profitable, that you are moving with confidence and assurance, and knowing that this is the home you want, and you've gotten all the questions answered, as many as you can, to make a confident decision and moving forward to purchasing the home. Right. So then we go into the appraisal and insurance process, right? You want to make sure your home is properly covered. Because if you're financing a home, you have to have homeowners insurance on it, right? If you're financing a home, you will have to get an appraisal. An appraisal lets you know how much your home is worth. The insurance protects the value of that home. And those things must be in place in order for you to move forward and purchase in the event that you are purchasing with a mortgage, you're financing. Now, when you're purchasing cash, it could be a little different. However, we still advise you covering your property. We still advise you maximizing your due diligence process, right? Step 8, protect your investment, clear to close. This is when you go over everything again, right? We do our final walkthroughs. We are making sure all of the numbers are correct. We are making sure that insurance is in place, the finances is in place, the loan company that you're dealing with is verifying all of your information, making sure all of that is accurate. You're finishing out the underwriting process and ready to get the keys in your hand. And so today we're at step 9. This is closing day and you are getting your keys. So what happens on closing day? Because a lot of people are really nervous about closing, and closing day is when you essentially go over all of the information. You sign off on all the papers, and this is when you transfer ownership from the seller to the buyer. It is transferred on closing day. So typically a closing is done when you're in South Carolina and Georgia. Your closings are typically done with an attorney. Attorney has to do the closing with the clients. Now, you may have instances where that's not the case, but typically you are sitting down at an attorney's office or some mutual place that you have agreed with the attorney. You will review all of the closing documents, which it will include the deed, any homeowners association information, the actual loan application that you completed for your mortgage. You will physically sign off on that. Most people who do their mortgage applications now do their mortgage applications online. So when you go to closing day, you're going to be signing off on those documents. So one thing about closing, it's about an hour at least of signing documents. You're signing off on any remaining addendums that might need to be addressed between the buyer and the seller. Sometimes the mortgage company has sent additional paperwork to the attorney for the buyer to to sign in regards to name changes, former aliases, any liens or um, encumbrances, any type of contingencies that may have came up through the underwriting process. Typically, the attorney's office will call the buyer and let them know prior to closing. But sometimes if it's not something that would delay closing, they just bring it up at the closing table. But you sign off on everything. You sign off on your deed. You sign off on the loan document. You sign off on homeowners association information. You sign off on tax information. And depending on the type of loan you have, VA, USDA, conventional, FHA, you may have additional documents that need to be signed as a result of the type of financing that you're receiving. But every signature you sign is bringing you closer to being a homeowner. Another thing is that when you're at the closing table, you really don't have time to read through all of the documents that are presented to you to sign. And you'll hear people say, make sure you review everything. And I don't disagree with that. You should review everything you sign. But realistically, you typically don't have time to sit there and read through line by line every document that's given to you. So most closing attorneys, the ones that I deal with, they typically send the buyer a closing packet when you get that clear to close. We talked about that on our last Lunch and Learn. And when you get that closing packet, it typically has all of the documents in there that you're going to have to sign at closing. So when you get that closing packet, you got that clear to close, make sure you read through that. Make sure you review that. If you have to print it out at home, print it out so that you can know what's going on and you can ask questions. I like to get my clients to ask all the questions they need to ask prior to getting to the closing table because we don't want any surprises at the closing table. Sometimes it's unavoidable. It happens. But as much as possible, we want to review everything prior to coming to the attorney's office to sign so that when you come to sign, you're clear on what you're signing and you can move forward through that process confidently and get your keys at the end with confidence. And the last thing I just want to address, it says, you pay any remaining closing funds. When you go to closing, your attorney is going to tell you how much cash you need to bring to close. When you start the home buying process, your lender should have given you a loan estimate. Some people call it a fee estimate, which shows you an estimated class cash to close. But prior to coming to the closing table, the attorney is supposed to tell you exactly how much money is due at closing because most funds for closing have to be wired, right? And I think for Georgia and South Carolina, any amount of funds over $5,000 have to be wired to the attorney's office. You can't write a check or do a money order, or cashier's check for that. So you will receive the information about paying remaining funds at closing. You should receive that prior to making it to the closing table, right? That information should have been given to you by the attorney's office, because that's like a checks and balance system. The attorney's office, the mortgage company have been going back and forth with itemizing every fee, everything associated with your loan, making sure the agents get paid, the mortgage company gets paid, any contractors are paid, making sure all addendums are being addressed. Um, and after you've addressed all of that, you sign off on the documents with the attorney, the necessary documents that need to be notarized are notarized. The attorney will then send that whole entire paperwork packet over to the mortgage company for them to review. They will review and then get back in touch with the attorney and let them know, hey, you're good to go. Closing is done. So when you think about your closing team, remember, you're not doing this alone. These individuals, you will have been communicating, you should have been communicating with your realtor, your lender, the closing attorney, the title company, the insurance provider. Typically, the attorney's office deals with the title company, but the title company is doing their due diligence during the underwriting process to make sure there are no outstanding liens or contingencies or encumbrances on the property that would hinder the buyer from owning the property free and clear, right? So you want to be able to trust your closing team. You want to have a realtor you can trust. You want to have a lender that is willing to answer your questions and communicate with you. One of my pet peeves is a lender that does not do their due diligence on a client. You know, you want to work with a mortgage officer that looks at your credit file at the beginning of the homeowning process when we were back at step, 1, 2, and 3, right? With getting a realtor, budgeting and goal setting and getting approved. You should have in that part of the process been communicating with your lender to make sure you can afford the home that you're purchasing, making sure that, you have all, like, you are aware of the type of funds you may need to bring to closing. You may have a loan that doesn't have a down payment, but it doesn't mean you don't also have closing costs that you're responsible for. A lot of people have a misconception. Well, I have a 100% financing, or I have VA or USDA. That does not mean that you don't still have to bring money to closing. It just means you're not responsible for a down payment. But there are many other fees associated in closing costs that the buyer would still be responsible for. So you want to communicate well with your team so that you're abreast on everything that's going on. You want a good closing attorney. You want someone that's looking at the fine print. You want somebody that's looking out for you, paying attention to what's in the deed. I've worked with some great attorneys that have really helped my clients out over the years. And I'm, thankful for that. But they were thorough and were able to catch things that, maybe other attorneys let slide through the cracks. So you want to make sure that you have a team that you can trust and a team that's looking out for your best interest. And the insurance provider, what I found is a lot of times people get homeowners insurance and just stick with that. Now, I can understand some people do that for their home, for their auto insurance, maybe. But when you get homeowners insurance, when you originally purchase a home, you want to have an insurance provider you can trust, because you want to be in touch with them after purchasing your home to make sure that your home is not only properly insured, but you also have the premium that matches your budget. And because a mortgage payment, if you have a fixed 30-year mortgage or 15-year mortgage, your mortgage payment won't change. I mean, your principal and interest payments won't change, but your actual mortgage payment can change when you have fluctuations in your insurance premium and in the taxes that you're paying. So when you become a homeowner, you have to be proactive in maintaining your home, not just the physical home, but maintaining the business surrounding your home. And when you have a strong closing team, they are able to help you and support you in making that happen. So before you celebrate, once your loans, funds, and the documents are recorded, so the attorney, you've signed all the documents, your hand might be tired, might be a stack of papers, 1.5 inches thick that you're signing. But once you're finished signing, the attorney has sent all the documents over to the mortgage company for them to review and sign off on. The attorney comes back and say, hey, we're good to go. The mortgage company has given us a thumbs up. You are officially a homeowner. Then what? You receive your keys, you celebrate responsibly, and you begin planning your next chapter. And when I say um, celebrate responsibly, it just means you put a lot of work in to purchasing a home, right? If you're able to purchase a home, then you're someone who has been taking care of your finances. You have been being diligent and making sure that you're maintaining the budgets and maintaining the credit and financial profile that you need that is required to purchase a home. So don't go and waste it all away, right? So celebrate, Like I remind people, do not go and purchase anything until you sign all those documents and get your keys. Don't get to clear the codes and go finance your furniture set or go get a new car or quit your job. No, you don't make any major decisions until after you receive those keys and you know that you are officially the homeowner. You have that HUD statement, which is a form that they will give you at closing stating that you are the owner, right? A HUD statement or oh gosh, it's another name that they have for it that is just completely escaping me right now. But just don't make any drastic decisions until you close. I cannot stress this enough. I cannot tell you how many people have gotten a clear to close, which we talked about last month, and then went and finance things, maxed out their credit card, quit their job. You cannot do that, not until you close. Now, I don't advise you ever doing that, but if you choose to, don't do that until you close on your home. And begin your next chapter. Make your home your own. If you want to paint, paint. If you want to make upgrades in the yard and enhance your curb appeal, do that. You are now that homeowner. I want you to make that home your own. Allow your heart to be free and to rest and relax in that space. And life after closing, remember your journey doesn't end there. Maintain your property, right? When you successfully maintain your property, what happens is you help increase the equity in your home, right? Which is increasing your home's value. And you want to make sure you protect your investment. That's where you're always keeping abreast on your homeowner's insurance policies, making sure that you're keeping on the necessary maintenance and repairs that your home may need. Keep a good relationship with your banker so that you can make decisions about how you can tap into your home's equity to help you better be able to maintain that home and make the necessary adjustments and even use that home to be able to purchase other homes in the future if you so desire to do that. And that is essentially what goes into the closing process and closing day. Um, I want to go back a little bit to when we talk about what happens on closing day. Once you receive confirmation, everything is done, and you receive your keys, this is your house. I want to stress this. A lot of people, reality is setting in, and it's like, wow, I own this home. Yes. Once you sign on the dotted line, you should have made sure you have made everything clear with the seller. All the terms are in place, because now you're the owner of that home. I tried to get all repairs done or funds for the repairs locked in and secured at or before closing, because once the closing takes place, you are the buyer. You are now the owner of that home, right? You're purchasing that home. That seller no longer has responsibility over that home unless you guys have some type of contractual agreement that the seller is responsible for. So you want to make sure that the repairs are done, you paid for all the everything you need to be paid for, the funds are dispersed accordingly. These are the things that you want to make sure is in place, and you want to be communicating with your realtor about that. I just want to reiterate that because the closing process can be from the time you go under contract until you close, it's a very fast process. It can be very stressful and overwhelming because there's a lot coming at you at one time. You have the lender reaching out, you have the attorneys reaching out, you have your realtor reaching out. And if you have a good realtor, your realtor is helping you manage these conversations, but it doesn't matter how good your realtor is. As the buyer, you can feel that pressure of home ownership. And I just want you to know it's okay. It's kind of like labor, and I know everybody hasn't had a baby. I've had multiple. I have 4 children, so labor goes very fast. It's very intense. It can be very stressful and overwhelming, but you just got to get through it to get to the other side to birth this baby. And it's kind of like that when you're purchasing a home. It can be very overwhelming. It's a lot going on, but if you just trust your realtor and ask the questions, be patient. I assure you that you will get through the process and be very thankful on the other side. Of course, we can't make any guarantees, but I just want you to know when you plan and you prepare, you put yourself in a better position to experience that success and the outcome that you're looking for. So once you get those keys, once that attorney says, hey, the mortgage company has signed off on this, you're good to go. The agent can give you your keys or take you to your home or let you have access to that. Some people don't get keys. You just got a code on the door, whatever it is. This is now your home. If anything goes wrong in that home, you're now responsible for that, right? This is all a part of you being a homeowner. So I just wanted to reiterate that, right? And if you have any questions about anything you hear me talk about, I encourage you to set up a complimentary consultation discovery session with me. I would love to discuss your home ownership process and ways that my team and I may be able to support you. So what's up next? Coming up next month, step 10 in our entire road to approval process is living in your home and building wealth. So next month, we will discuss building equity, creating wealth, future investments, and protecting your legacy. Because I mentioned earlier about protecting your investment and maintaining your property, but next month we'll talk a little more in detail about what that looks like and ways that you can do that and not have home ownership be so stressful or overwhelming. And of course, I can't guarantee any of these things, but if you understand what you're up against and you understand what opportunities you have, you're more likely to take advantage of it and get to experience the benefits. I think that individuals that don't research, that don't take the time to learn that home ownership can be more of a burden than a blessing. So I just encourage you to stick around and come back with us next month so we can talk about really the benefits of home ownership outside of having a place to live. But let's talk about ways that individuals have been able to use their home to grow wealth in their lives and protect and grow wealth in their legacy. I also want to invite you to our Road to Approval Academy. Our Road to Approval Academy is where we help individuals go from thinking about home ownership to being approved and purchasing their homes, right? So you have weekly teaching and accountability sessions. You have one-on-one coaching sessions with our approval coaches to help you plan out your home ownership process and then recap to make sure that you are where you need to be when it's time for you to buy. This is a supportive community where you will learn from realtors, lenders, um, investors. We will talk to um, attorneys, everybody that you would need on your team throughout the home ownership process. You will be able to learn from them in the academy. And the best thing is you can walk side by side with other individuals just like you who are looking to grow their legacy, to grow their real estate portfolio, to purchase their first home or purchase their next investment. And we all can support one another because what I found is you can go fast when you go alone, but when you go together, you go far. So we created this community because you need someplace to go when you're learning about home ownership, when you're learning about wealth building. Maybe you need some refresher courses when it comes to financial literacy, what investment looks like. What are some other options you have surrounding real estate? These and other questions will be answered in the Road to Approval Academy. So if you've been looking for a guided support in a community that cares about you and is not in competition with you, I encourage you to join our Road to Approval Academy. And like I said, you can set up a complimentary discovery session to see if it's a good fit for you, but we would love to have you here. So next steps, let's keep building. Schedule your Heart Homes discovery session. Join the Road to Approval program. Get your pre-approval updated. Start your personalized home search. So before you leave today, choose one action you're going to take, right? Are you going to schedule your Heart Homes discovery consult? You're going to join the Road to Approval. You're going to get your pre-approval updated so that you can start your personalized measure you approve. You ready to start searching? Let's get it done. Make that choice and let us know in the comments below or Tag us on our page on social media. Let us know what your step is and how we can support you in making your next move your best move. And share this with your friends. If you're interested in home ownership, you may know others who are as well. And what I've found is people don't know about the process, and sometimes they don't feel empowered to ask the questions to professionals. That's one of the reasons why we do the lunch and learn. So I want you to know that you are welcome. We want to learn and grow with you, and we're here to answer the questions that you may have, you and your friends. So do me a favor, share some insight that you learned today with somebody you care about and invite them to our next lunch and learn that we have every second Tuesday of the month at noon for lunchtime. Okay. So what stood out to you today? What questions do you have, and how can I support your next step? So contact me. I am Adelai Brown, your heart realtor and approval coach. My email is here, hearthomesland@gmail.com. You can go to Linktree /hearthomes and connect with me and book a complimentary discovery session there. You can also go to the website, adelaibrown.com, and find out more about how we serve our clients and also book a complimentary discovery session. I really want to talk to you. I want to hear what your questions are. If you have any needs, I want to find out how we can support you because we're here. Remember, I'm licensed to do real estate and insurance in Georgia, South Carolina. I'm licensed to do real estate in Georgia and South Carolina, licensed to do insurance in Georgia, South Carolina, and New York. So we want to support you. We want to encourage you. We want to uplift you. Remember, homies don't let homies do real estate alone. So we thank you for being here, right? Your journey matters, your home matters, but your heart matters most. I'm so thankful to spend these lunch sessions with you. They are very enjoyable and very encouraging. And I'm always excited when I get feedback from you guys and, when I get on the discovery sessions and we're able to get you approved and doing the work and living where you want to live and just exploring in that way. So remember, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you have any um I question, just anything you want to know about home ownership, make sure and schedule a session so that we can make your next move your best move. And I'll see you next month, right? I am looking forward to it. Like I said, we do these lunch and learns every second, um, every second Tuesday of the month at 12 p.m. noon. So make sure you get your lunch and sit down with us. And I would love to have you with me. Remember, every heart deserves a home, and I'm so excited to help you receive the home and you and your family inhabit the home that is destined for you in this season of life. So, this is Adelai Brown, your heart realtor and approval coach, thanking you for doing lunch with me and looking forward to our next lunch and learn next month on September the 8th. So you guys have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your lunch. I'm gonna go finish drinking my coffee and snacking. And I love y'all.